The following podcast is taken from a live broadcast on Inspire FM.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to Sisters Speak. Today we are going to be speaking about a lot of things because we have a special guest, Adil Abbuthalha. We're going to be speaking about entrepreneurship, ethical, just being ethical, and building in the tech space, which Adil will talk about a bit more. But you're here with me, Sonia, and we also have
me, Farin,
and our guest. Would you like to just say hello?
Hi, assalamu alaikum. Nice to meet everyone.
Lovely to meet you as well. So I'm just going to give a little short introduction about Adil for those of you who don't know him. So Adil Abbuthalha is a multifaceted entrepreneur and the driving force behind Boycat, an innovative app designed to empower consumers to make ethical shopping choices, particularly in support of Palestinian causes. Adil founded Boycat. I keep nearly saying boycott, sorry, Boycat, and leads its development, marketing, growth, and wears every hat necessary. He is joined by his talented and selfless engineers on a mission to change consumerism forever. His entrepreneurial journey began early, launching a tutoring business at 15, a clothing line at 16, and a media company at 18, where he successfully partnered with high-profile brands like Audi. At 19, he founded his next product management company. In his latest efforts to build Boycat, he was fired from his job because of his support for Palestine. So yeah, that was a great introduction. I think so many things that I want to pick on there. Not least the fact that you started this when you were 15 years old. Like, I don't know what you were doing at 15, Farin.
I don't know what I was doing, but definitely know what he was doing.
yeah, that's really impressive. So well done. So before we actually go into it, I hope you guys don't mind, but we are going to do our thought of the week because that is something we do every radio show. So we'll just go around the circle and do that. We can start with Farin.
Sure, I'll go on. I've just been thinking a lot about overconsumption and the fact that we always have things that we really don't need. So I say, for example, like when it's Ramadan, for example, when we make iftar, there's so much food and then it goes to waste. Or when we buy things, there's just so many things that lead to overconsumption. And obviously we're spending that money and then we're doing, our carbon footprint. We're like, so yeah, I've just been thinking about overconsumption and how we basically can live a really simple life with simple things that we have and just,
yeah, it's
being
true.
really simplistic. Yeah,
I think we overconsume in so many aspects of our life. Like we were having like a clothing clear out in my house recently, and I just thought, why did we even buy so many things,
clothes, yeah.
Right? I mean, the good thing is if you do give it to charity or, reuse it in some ways, or, secondhand clothes people buy now as well. But it's just, you have to reflect and think, why was I doing all of that?
Yeah. And honestly, with overconsumption, the one thing that came to my mind was my parents, because everything that they have, basically, they always keep it.
Oh, yeah.
So, and then I was like, why are you keeping so much stuff? It's so old and everything. You can just throw it away. And then I read in a TikTok comment, which TikTok is like my main source of information these days. There's like a blanket of security for them because they grew up with nothing.
Oh.
So then the fact that it's like a different perspective on things. So whatever we think it's like useless and we don't need it, our parents is like, no, we might need it in the future,
I guess there's two sides to that, isn't
Yeah.
there? Like, do you get rid of it and buy new things, or do you keep trying to like make use of something and upcycle it in some way? But yeah, that was a great thought of the week. Thank you so much, Farina. I think it links in with our main topic as well. Adil, would you like to go next? Have you got a thought of the week for us?
Oh man, I was not prepared for a thought of the week.
I know.
I think an interesting thought of the week is that I was thinking about opportunity a lot, and I think this is completely unrelated to ethical and shopping and consumerism, but more so like if there's an opportunity at hand, you have to take it no matter what, because you never know what it's going to lead towards. Even if it's something that may seem like random or like very small, like if you can take the opportunity and help someone else, like when you're doing the opportunity, then I think a lot of doors will open up in your future. So that's a random thought I had, just because it happened multiple times this past week.
Oh, that's a great thought of the week. I think it's kind of like the theory of just saying yes to things that come up, to try and, even if it doesn't seem related, like you said, it could seem something that's so out of your field, out of your comfort zone. But if you say yes, you don't know what it might lead to, and so on. So I think that is a very, very good thought of the week. Thank you for that.
I always think about this every time because obviously I was doing law and now I'm doing computer science and it's completely unrelated to radio. But I joined radio, like the opportunity came up, and yeah, I completely agree with you. I think saying yes to things opens up, and you are out of your comfort zone. So it's something that I tend to do a lot, and I like to do it.
Good. Yeah, exactly. You never know where you might end up, what you might
Yeah.
enjoy, you know? So lovely. Thank you guys both. I had a thought of the week, but mine was a bit negative compared to both of yours. So I feel like I'm going to bring it back down, but I'm just going to say it quickly. It was just like reflecting on the kind of week and the current circumstances of my neighborhood, my town, the world, as we always do. And I just thought to myself, like, you know, I'm not an immigrant, but my parents were immigrants to the country, and oftentimes we find ourselves, explaining ourselves as like why we belong here, why I should be here. And I just want to say to all my people, like anybody that is an immigrant or second generation or third, we shouldn't ever have to explain ourselves. Like that's not something we have to do. But personally, I don't think we should do that. It's exhausting. Obviously we have so many good things to say, so much to brag about, but also at the same time we shouldn't have to do it. It shouldn't be mandatory. We shouldn't feel like we have to. But yeah, that's my thought of the week. It's a bit sad compared to the other ones. So let's bring the tone back up for the show today. So Adil, you're a special guest, and we just want to talk a little bit in the first half of the show about your entrepreneurship, like such exciting things we heard about 15 years old, 16 years old, 18-year-old, you know, stuff that we weren't doing at that age. So right from the beginning, would you like to explain what kind of inspired you? What gave you the drive to start a tutoring business at the age of 15?
Yeah. Honestly, it's really cheesy, but I just wanted money. That's the biggest thing.
Straight.
And alhamdulillah, I was able to kind of accelerate my way through school a bit. So I was a bit ahead of people my age. And so I was always asked to help them out with tutoring and help them understand like more difficult subjects. And with that, I was able to find like a little business opportunity. Because at a certain point, there was 5 to 10 people starting to come out to me at the same day and asking for help. And your time is limited, so you can't really always do something. So it's like, how do you filter someone out? And for me, it was simple. Just charge a little bit of money. And then, the 10 people would drop down to like 5 people I would pay. And then after that, you keep increasing your prices and you go from there. But alhamdulillah, it was nice because just having a little bit of an accelerated path, I was able to start tutoring like more than just friends and like family friends. And so it evolved into something where I was tutoring like community colleges. They're called junior colleges here in America, and like other college students as well too. When I was in high school, just for some like calculus, chem, bio, stuff like that.
Wow.
And I lived in a university town, and so a lot of the professors' kids were all professor kids, which means they wanted to have the best education possible. So they were willing to spend a crazy amount of money just to have their kids learn at like the highest level or perform at the highest level. And so I just saw an opportunity there. I was like, one, I can make money. I can go buy stuff I want to buy, like random like bikes and toys and whatever else I want to do, like different software stuff, like computers and all that fun stuff. And then I could also like do what I really enjoy, which is teaching. Because if you could transform my entire life and money was never an issue, I would be a teacher 100%. Because I think just teaching someone and seeing them have that light bulb moment where they understand some new concept completely, like that is one of the best feelings ever, I think. And I think you can change people's lives completely as a good teacher. But unfortunately, there's no money there, so I'm not in the teaching space yet. Inshallah in the future. But I saw the opportunity. I saw that there was a need for it, and I just kind of like put, I connected the dots essentially, and from there I was able to get a monopoly on everyone in the university town I was in, and I started hiring my friends because there's so much demand for it. And my friend group was like a little bit accelerated as well, and so we were able to basically have a monopoly, and we were generating a couple $1,000s a month at 15.
Wow, I can't believe you're doing that at 15. I didn't tutor people. When you do that random helping people in the classroom, I should have made a business out of it as well.
Exactly. You're right. We didn't have that business
No, we
drive,
didn't.
That just sounds so amazing. I'm guessing you had to also stay on top of your studies even more so, because now you're teaching students, and you need to teach them, like, you were mentioning college level stuff as well here. So how did you kind of manage that? And would you say there were some challenges there that you faced? I know you did mention that you and your friends were, a bit more gifted in education and studies as well. So what kind of challenges did you face?
I wouldn't say we're gifted. I just think we got the hang of things quicker, which is nice. I'm like the blessing. But I think when you teach someone something, you learn it better because you
Yeah,
learn the
that's
most
true.
optimal way of doing whatever you're doing. So I wouldn't say it was hard. Like it was more so like just pay attention in class and then come back after class, then reteach it. Because a lot of the teachers here, especially in the U.S., they're not like the highest qualified ones. They're more so like simpler majors, just easy get in because there's a demand of teachers, so it's easy to get into. So the barrier of entry is a bit lower, and so they might be smart, but they just don't know how to teach, or they might know how to teach but not be smart. So if you combine both of those, then you can basically win because you understand how people your age think for the most part, and then just kind of go in that direction. But in
That's
terms of
good
my own
advice.
stuff, yeah, it was pretty easy, I think. Alhamdulillah.
I hope your old teachers aren't listening, by the way, because you just said they may be smart and don't know how to teach, or they know how to teach but they're not smart. But I do get what you're saying. I do get it, and especially like you said, your age people, you're gonna understand them more than anyone. To be honest, you understand how their brain works and what concepts they're finding a bit tricky. So that does make sense. And you mentioned something about the money. I guess that's why a lot of teachers who are teachers say they do it because it's rewarding. Like, it's not about the money, right? It's good to know that, inshallah, in the future that's something you might return to. But yeah, the second thing that we kind of looked at in your timeline was age 16 you started a clothing line. What
Yeah.
was that? What was that all about?
It was kind of a side quest that ended up becoming a main quest, I guess, in my story. Long story short, I took all the money from the tutoring, and what happens during the summer is that everyone goes on vacation, so your business is super low. I was like, I still want money to buy stuff, like a camera. I want to buy like all this fun, exciting things that were very expensive at the time for someone that's like 15, 16. And the best way to figure out how to like get money was like I was like sales of things people buy every day, and people buy clothes pretty often. They want to be part of a community. They want to have some sort of lifestyle aspect, and just seeing if you can go around to like a random store and then see your clothes in the store, like that'd be amazing. Or if you could see something that you had like that was yours in like public setting, it's like really cool, right? Because it's like everyone has some sort of association to that brand or company. And so in my head, I wanted to like create a community in a sense and then have it international. So that way there was no such thing as a down season in terms of when people would buy stuff, because I wanted a camera. I wanted the latest like technology, whatever it was. And I wanted to like start building things that were like bigger than myself, or like bigger than individual wants. Because if I could take my parents on a vacation like at that age, like that's crazy to me. Like that's something that I would read
Yeah.
about in like news articles and stuff.
Even
I wouldn't be
now, I
that
think,
person.
yeah. No, sorry, I was going to say, even at this age, whatever age it is, if you can take your parents on a holiday or vacation, that's something to be proud of. But yeah, I think at 16, starting a clothing line is so unique because of the way you've said it, you've simplified it. What do people like to buy? Clothes. What can I do? Make it international so there's no down season. Straight. Like that makes so much sense. I think we should do something like
We
that.
should do something. You make it look so easy, you know?
Yeah.
I
But
mean, it
then,
is once you know how to do it. So best
so
of luck
did
on
you
that.
Did you have a creative flair? Did you have an idea in your mind when it came to the fashion industry, or was it just looking at things that already sell and continue like trying to copy it?
I watched a lot of YouTube, and so I
Mhm.
watched YouTubers do different things, and I found a niche that was like something special, where it's like gym lifestyle. And I think it was at the time Gymshark was starting up. Like a couple, like maybe like a year and a half, 2 years after they started, like really growing. And I was like, if they exist in the UK, I can do 10 times more in the US. But I was 16, I was pretty naive, and I didn't really understand the entire industry. So I basically just got in contact with a bunch of manufacturers from like China and India, Bangladesh, and stuff like that, and started just designing all the clothes myself. And I got everything shipped to my house, and from my house I would fulfill orders. My entire garage was full. Like my parents had to move the cars out just so like I could have like 30 boxes of clothes in the garage at all times. Um, And they're supportive because it was all my own money anyways. I took every single dollar from the tutoring business and I just threw it into like the clothing line, and I wanted to learn how to like distribute something like internationally. Like if I could go to like some random country in the middle of like Africa or Asia and I could see someone wearing something I made, that would feel like I accomplished something. Unfortunately, it never got that far because it was only within the US and Canada. But alhamdulillah, I mean, like the idea was I wanted to build a community where people felt like there was a trend coming along in terms of like gym lifestyle clothing, and at the same time they could feel like they were all improving together in terms of like the gym aspect or like health aspect. So that was my initial inspiration.
Okay, thank you. Farin, do you have any questions about that?
I think it's really good the fact that you had a supportive system behind everything. Even though you were spending your own money and everything like that, I think just having supportive parents, because my parents are so supportive, so I kind of like relate to you, even though I don't have any business or anything like that. But I think it's really good, and it's really impressive that you did that at 16.
Yeah, definitely. I think having a supportive family is the most
Everything.
important thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Would you say that that helped you as well, Adil, having that supportive system?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I was a second born, so I wasn't under the pressure of you have to go to like med school, engineer, lawyer type of thing. So I got to be the rebellious kid. I was still on the track for pre-med, but I was able to experiment just a little bit before, and then I was able to showcase like what I can do because I like had the opportunity.
Yeah.
But yeah, how about you? What were you guys doing at 16?
Okay, that's a good question.
I
Farin.
was finishing high school, just enjoying, that like prom parties and stuff like that. I was definitely not thinking about any businesses or making money. I was just spending my parents' money left and right.
Love that for you. I don't think money was a big factor in my life, as in it didn't exist, which is sad. And I'm sure I wanted it often, but we had a very like close-knit neighborhood, which is good because then me and my friends used to just go out to just be in each other's houses or go to the local post office and buy like 10p sweets. 10p is like 10 cents, by the way, I think. I don't know. But yeah, I think again, I was just finishing school as well. And then funnily enough, my first job was being a tutor. But I didn't make a business out of it. I just worked for other people, sadly. But yeah, thank you for asking us. We are now going to talk about because we've got so many things to talk about with you, Adil. Like we can go on all day. I think you also started a media company then at 18, right?
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Um,
So would you like to talk a little bit about that?
yeah, of course. I mean, the thing I learned with the clothing line was that distribution is king in any B2C business. And I think that you can have the best product, but if you don't know how to market it, then you won't sell anything. Like if you could have literally the best thing in existence, but the more people that you can reach, the better it is, and the more people that can see it, the better chance that someone can buy your clothes, right? And I didn't understand that. I didn't understand how influencers worked because I knew influencers were a thing and they were like rising up in the industry where, now they're like the dream job of like millions of people. But at the time, I was like, they are a source of marketing, but like, can we actually do something with them? And I kind of like I didn't succeed with the clothing line. Like obviously, otherwise I wouldn't be building all the stuff I'm building now. But I learned a lot, and I think that was like the most valuable lesson. And so what I did was I took that information. I was like, what am I missing to make it successful? And I wanted to start something that would help me learn all the right skills. And in that case, it was media. And I loved photography and videography as a whole already. And so I was like, I can make a business out of this. And it just seemed like the mentality was like, how can I provide or how can I self-sustain my hobbies? And started doing the basic stuff of like grad photo shoots, and then went to weddings, and then after weddings did some car shoots, and then from there like I think just having a wide portfolio helped me like connect to the right people. They started seeing like some of the things I was doing, and started connecting with brands and doing advertisements, digital media for them, digital content, helping them with launches. Started learning about analytics a lot and like the right storytelling. I think that's one thing I learned the most, which is just storytelling. Like how can you tell a story that's so engaging that people want to be a part of it or they want to learn? And how to I think the lessons have persisted over the years from that.
Alhamdulillah. And you were 18, just going back to, obviously you mentioned you were in pre-med or on the track for pre-med. Was that continuing on the side, or did you put that to a halt now and say, okay, I want to focus on my businesses and focus on this media company that I'm making?
No, I wasn't allowed to skip any school at
Oh,
all because
good.
my parents are like at school. I wasn't allowed to drop out or anything.
I agree.
Um, I don't
Okay.
agree.
We'll come back to
but
that.
but yeah, we'll definitely come back to it. But alhamdulillah, like I was able to finish high school at 17, and then I hated school so much I wanted to like figure out some way to like just do business, and since I was allowed to drop out, the only solution for me was finish as fast as possible. So alhamdulillah, I was able to finish like college when I was like 19, and our pre-med is slightly different. So for us, it's 4 years undergrad, 4 years med school, and then 4 years in residency. Then you can become a doctor, like officially. I think it's considered like a consultant in the UK or something. Like that's what you have to do for our normal process. And I was watching my brother go through med school, and I was like, "There's no way I'm doing this," because he's a doctor, and I'm like, he's the favorite child, whatever, blah blah blah.
Yeah, they're
But
good for him.
but for me, I was like, I'm not wasting 13, 14 years of my life just trying to like, become a doctor and have an impact on the world. I wanted to have it like right away.
Yeah.
Which I guess is the Gen Z problem of instant gratification, right? And so I wanted to like
But
make
if
sure.
you knew that that's not what you want to do, then you can't force yourself to go through it, because you're just going to be unhappy and it's not going to be worth it in the end, is it? Because you're the one that has to live with that. You're the one that has to make a career out of it. So, I mean, I hope so. And I think you did make the right decision. And like you said, your brother's doing it. Like, good for him. He can crack on and you can do something else.
Yeah, exactly. What did you
So
guys
on
study
the
in college or uni?
so you didn't go to further education, or did you go into further education?
I went to uni, yeah. I finished it, alhamdulillah. But yeah, I don't use my degree.
Right, okay. But okay, so on the media company then, a question I did have was, did you want to keep building it up? And if so, did you see competition? How were you able to handle that and still kind of make money from your business?
Yeah. There was a ton of competition at the time. I think that's when the travel YouTubers started like really blowing up, where they started like traveling the world, recording videos for like different countries and tourism industries, and they got the deals way easier than I did. So it was more so of like I didn't have hundreds of thousands of dollars to go on vacation and go to the nicest places and record stuff, and so I had to make the most of what I could in my own industries. And so that's why a lot of local brands, I was very lucky to get like Audi as like a company brand, like just doing a shoot with them, which was a lot of fun, but it wasn't like anything crazy. And so at the time, because I was in school basically full time, like 6 a.m. to like 8 p.m. basically every day. I didn't have as much time as I wanted to, and I couldn't travel as much as everyone else did. And so I had to like make decisions, right? And so during that time, I had to end up not completely shutting it down, but making that like the tough choice of like I have to like dial back and then figure something else out, because I can't do this for the next 2 years basically. So
Yeah. And how did you get the Audi thing? I mean, you said it's not a big deal, but that's a huge, huge deal. That's amazing.
you just gotta post. I think building in public, even for like something as simple as photography, videography, and showing people what you can do and doing it for free, and then eventually someone knows someone that sees something, and they're like, hey, I like this idea, who made it? And then they reach out to someone, and eventually you get in contact with them, and then you kind of just like get
Yeah.
a deal done or an opportunity done. It goes back to opportunity. Just take every opportunity possible.
Yes. And also, I like the phrase that was like, someone knows someone that sees something, because it's true. It's what we always say. It's not about what you know, it's about
Who
who
you
you
know.
know, right?
Yeah.
But it's about both. We have established that as well. But a lot of the times, your network is. I hate this phrase, but your network is your net worth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. It's about who you know, right? I mean, it's distribution. The more people you know, the more important people you know, the better chance you have of winning.
It's true. Yeah. And just putting yourself out there, like you mentioned. But yeah. And then the last thing we want to speak about in the first kind of half is, and then at the age of 19, product management company. So this is now officially, I guess you could say, like your fourth company that you opened up while you're still under the age of 20.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I call it a company. I call it a business, because company sounds big. This is just more
Yeah.
like a business. But this is like my first company, I think, where we were bringing in a couple $100,000 a year, basically. And that was like
Casually. You're just
exciting.
doing it
So,
casually,
well, I mean,
Yeah.
when you know how much money is out in the world and you know how many successful people there are, like that's not much. But alhamdulillah, I think the really cool part was like being able to just teach myself everything that I needed to know about tech, because I was a pre-med, right? And so a lot of my knowledge was in like science and like research, data, marketing, and analytics and media from like my past experiences. And so I didn't really understand how to develop. I didn't know how to build a product from 0 to 1. Like I could not tell you how to like build Discord or how to build Snapchat or like Instagram or anything like that. But I had to teach myself, and I had to teach myself a lot of the data analytics to understand people, because people are very like general, like they're very, very basic. So once you understand like the general population of like 80% of people, you can build something that 80% of people will like. You can't ever please everyone, so I mean like it's impossible to do that, and there's no reason to. So as long as you like can please like the 80% of like average people, like you can build a winning product. And so what we did was we basically partnered sorry,
It's okay.
we partnered with other startups in the Bay Area, and we just started building out past MVP level. So they had like a very base product they were going on to raise, and what we did was we integrated with like them, and we built out different products for them, different features, and a lot of the data analytics were involved. And I think that was like really fun and cool, because we were successful only because we were outcome focused versus output focused. So when you're outcome focused, it basically means like you're problem solving, and then when you're output focused, you're just building a ton of stuff right away. I think a lot of companies like fail at that because they can put out like 100 features, but if only like 20 people use them, it's kind of a waste of time and resources. But if you're solving like 1 or 2 problems, and like 90% of your user base like suffers through them, like you're building a winning product. So yeah, that's a little bit about the company itself.
You're listening to an Inspire FM podcast, making available our popular programs from our daily broadcast on Inspire FM.
So we're just going to carry on the second half of our show, as I mentioned, about ethical building and the Boycat app. Would you like to just explain to us what the app is actually about?
Yeah, the most fun way to call it is it's an ethical shopping companion. It's just like a friend that kind of tags along and provides you information on like what you're buying and what you should be buying instead based on your values. That's the simplest way of putting it, I think.
Okay, that's great. Farin, did you manage to look at the app earlier today?
I did. I downloaded the app. It's really good, actually, mashallah. I haven't been able to use it because I haven't been to a grocery store or supermarket. I don't know what you call it in America. I haven't been able to use it, but I did look through it, and I think it's really well thought. And I also, is your logo based on the cats that you have? That's something
Yeah.
I've heard. Yeah, it is. Yeah, so I think it's really good. Yeah, go on.
Alhamdulillah, yeah. I think it's like a fun brand, and it's supposed to be as fun as possible, where it's seamless, and then that way you can make the right decisions you want to, just based on whatever you value in the future, inshallah. So
Did you have something in mind, like when you started the journey of creating it and so on? Was there some kind of, I want to say like, no, I don't think the word is non-negotiables, but like some certain aspects in mind where you're like, I need to make sure that's on my app?
I think the biggest thing was to empower people, and I needed to make sure like I could do that in every scenario. I didn't want to be someone that just dictates someone of like what they should and shouldn't do, but more so like, can I provide you the right information at the right time in your purchasing journey that your habit would change? And I think that's like the really cool part, because the way I see it is that we want to solve 3 problems. First, get a ton of information and ignore media cycles, whatever. So like whatever social cause you care about, we can allow you to get information on like that cause itself. And the second would be like, once you know what you should be avoiding, what can you buy and what alternatives and what ethical products can we start platforming as well? And the third part was more so like, how do we incentivize someone? Because for example, if you have a normal habit of buying a certain product every single like week, like 3 times a week, it's really hard to get off the habit. Like how now we have Ramadan and stuff, so it's easier for like Muslims in general, but it's still a habit like thing that we have to break, right? And so I think that's why I wanted to like build within the app, and it's slowly being teased and slowly being built, but also building a community in that sense, because it's always easier to break habits and like try new things when there's a large group of people that are also doing the exact same thing you are. Like it's always easier. Like Ramadan's always easier because we're all suffering together. We're all fasting together like long hours. But when it's only just you, it feels like it's like the end of the world type of thing. So that's what I want to embody within the app itself.
No, I think you're right. I think the kind of movement of a lot of us being more aware of where our clothes come from, or if the organization behind the manufacturers are also involved in things that we don't agree with, we're all more aware of that now, or we try to be more aware, right? Like we do research, and because, like you said, everyone's doing it together, you don't feel like left out. You feel included, and we all want to be included, right? Because I will mention that I think this kind of, I hate to say it, but like we went through a phase maybe of doing this about 4 or 5 years ago as well. Right? So like it happens every now and then, or there may be other reasons, like we might say, oh, we don't like the factories that they source their clothes from, or there's many reasons, and people do have these phases where they do it, but then due to any reason, it could be money, it could be convenience, it could be I literally can't find any other store to shop from, and that was the only place that had the thing that I needed, then we go back into our own old patterns and the same ways that we were in before. So I think this app, like you said, to be able to provide alternatives and have that social kind of we're all in this together vibe. We hold each other accountable a little bit too, don't we? Like, hold on, don't do that. Wait a minute, let me check the app. Yeah, I've got this. You should have it too. So I think that was a really, really, really good skit, like part of the app, I would say. So some questions about the building of it. You built the app in public. What were some of the challenges that you faced while building it in public, and why did you choose to do it in public?
Marketing. That's like the simplest solution. It's distribution, right? Like I'm sure there's probably like 50 apps out there right now that are trying to do the same thing, but we just do it best because we build in public and we have the market share now. And so it's easiest for us because like it's fun just like telling people like what you're doing and like sharing the journey of like actually building something. But at the same time, you also get very early feedback, so you're able to experiment really fast on like different features you're building out. You can validate things way quicker. And it's just like, every time you basically tweet about it, every time you make a TikTok about it, Instagram post, whatever it is, you have an influx of new people that are trying the app just because they see that so many people are already on it, and they see that this person is building it in public, which means like it's not gonna be perfect, but it's gonna be really cool. Just like be on that journey of like building something with that, or be on the journey of watching someone build something. So that's like the fun part. The part that sucks is that there's a 10% people, like a population, that just expects it to be perfect right at the get-go. And like there's a lot of hate that comes with it. I mean, like, alhamdulillah, it's like it's good because that means it doesn't make you ever like complacent or stagnant, because it's like there's always something to improve and you can always make it way better. So it's nice.
Yeah. Haters are the motivators, right? That's
Of
the
course.
thing. I mean, that was going to be my next question. If you have haters, and how do you deal with them?
Yeah, of course. Always. If you look through my DMs, there's probably like 30, 40 people right now.
That means you're doing well, though, I suppose.
Yeah, of course. I mean, any feedback is good feedback, and any publicity is good publicity. So good and bad, it all works out in the end.
What are your thoughts on that, Farin?
I don't know. You know what the thing is, because I don't have any haters or anything like that, and I don't really know. I think I actually don't know. I can't believe having 30, 40 people hate what I'm doing. Like I can't even imagine it. And even though there's only 30, 40 people, I feel like there is a little bit of pressure, right?
Yes
No?
and no. I think just because like the community is so large now, over like 500,000 people, like a couple hundred people that are hating on me, like it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, the good outweighs the bad, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, always. And I think that a lot of people just don't see the long-term play. Like it's not a short-term play where this will be a trend and dies out in like, a month or two, but it's more so like where will I be in like 4 or 5 years? Will they still be in my DMs, and then, or will they like, just be like hating their own lives type of thing, or like will they be building too? Because like most people only hate because like they can't build something as good. So
It's true. Yeah, very good mindset to have. So this is like a positive thing now. What advice would you give to other app developers who want to focus on ethical building?
validate information, and distribution is king. I keep saying this because it's so important. Like you can have the best app ever. You could create the next Instagram that's like a million times better, but Instagram has better marketing. They have more market share. They're just out there already. So it's really hard to compete. So building in public is a great way to like build connections and get opportunities. Because I won't be on this podcast / like radio show unless I was building in public and someone found me and then they reached out, you know.
Yes,
And then
that's very
likewise,
true.
like I went up spoken at Muslim Tech Fest. I went to, you know, travel the world basically to different places to talk about this. I want to be part of like the Muslim Accelerator in SF. So building in public, taking every opportunity, like that's like what you have to do. And 99% of ideas fail. Like you have to like acknowledge that like your idea is probably not going to work out, but you just got to keep trying, and like the world keeps spinning, you know.
Oh, we love it. We love
We
it.
love that
I think we
sentence.
should
Yeah.
title the show just "The World Keeps
Yeah.
Spinning." That is really good. So you've spoken a lot about distribution and marketing. I have to ask, was there ever a marketing decision that didn't go as you planned it? And if so, what did you kind of learn from it?
Yeah, like every week. Like I'm always trying everything. I'm trying everything new like almost every week, just because like when you're at early stage, it's so important to like try everything possible because you never know what's going to work out for you. It could be something as simple as like a Reddit post. It could be something as simple as like a TikTok series that just catches like, you know, catches like the trend or whatever. Um, and if you just do this exact same thing every single time, people get bored, and like people's attention spans are super short nowadays. So you have
Yeah.
to like keep trying new things and, you know, be as exciting as possible whenever you can.
Okay. So the answer to that question is you regularly face failure, but you're with marketing, but it's something that you just keep trying new things.
Yeah, always. You just gotta keep trying something new if it fails.
That's really, really good. And on the marketing, we have to ask now, in terms of ethical consumption as well, what kind of like strategies do you think are most effective? Just to
Being
promote
genuine, being genuine on
Okay.
social media. Like you have to put yourself out there, and you have to like find the risk of putting yourself out there. But if as long as you're very genuine, people can tell. Like you can put up a front or a character, and people can easily see it. Like you're not slick trying to like, you know, mask something or do something faceless. Like be as genuine as possible, and people will like fall in love with like the founder itself versus like the product. And then whatever you end up doing, whatever you end up building, whether it's this thing or something else, like they'll follow along too. I think that's the most important part, building a community.
Yeah, and I think off of the base honesty and the intention, I think the intention behind your app and the intention behind what you're doing is really important. It's something that obviously, you know, Allah is also watching. So that's what that you're gonna get the barakah from that. So I think that's really important. Like the honesty and the intention that you're doing it, that's the most important part. And that's where you're gonna inshallah be successful in the future.
Inshallah. That's actually funny you brought that up because I was telling this to someone the other day. But basically, whenever my intentions are really good and really pure, like I just want to
Yeah.
help people out, we have a great week in signups. Like everything goes well. But then, like the one, like because I have to realign my intentions every week, basically. And then the week I'm like, oh, I can make a lot of money off this. Like this has potential to be like $1 billion, like, you know, industry. We have a terrible week in signups. We have a terrible week in like user growth and all that stuff. And it's just a good reminder, like as long as you're doing stuff like the right reason, like Allah is gonna provide you. Like you don't have to worry about it, right? So yeah, that's interesting you brought
really
it up.
good. Yeah, and sorry, you
Yeah,
were
no,
saying.
it's just the intention and having the right intention behind anything you do. I think is so important. It's something that you learn. I don't think you just, you know, when you were 15, for example, what the intention behind it was, you know, get sales out of it and stuff like that. But once you grow up, I feel like you realize that that's not the important thing. And the important thing behind your app, for example, it's not, obviously there's also a business side of it and you have a
Yeah,
sales side of
yeah,
it, but just helping out people and, you know, doing something that aligns with your values is so important.
yeah, 100%. So the question I have now is, and you might have answered it actually, both of you together, but how do you stay motivated and true to your principles and the ethical principles in this kind of competitive market that exists?
Who wants to answer that first? Me?
Well, I'm not.
You're special, right? You've been working in
I can
marketing. You
answer a
can
bit
answer
of
that.
the question. That's interesting. I think I'm still on the journey, so I haven't really had to have that kind of moral dilemmas or anything like that. Um, but I think it's about being genuine again, because I feel like everything you do, like it'll come back in a way that's like either very positive or very negative, and nothing is worth it. I think that is something that I can hold on to, because so many times we see maybe like, you know, a great successful brand or a successful person, if we're talking about influencing and so on, but like giving away those kind of, you know, practices that you hold tight to you and those principles, you know, it'll only come back and bite yourself in the back, like literally forget anybody else. You're the one that has to live with it and think, oh God, why did I do that? Why did I put myself out there like that?
Yeah.
So I think that is something that kind of I just remind myself, I don't think it's worth it ever in the end, because you have to live with it, right? But yeah, you guys can go next, and nobody's allowed to copy my answer.
I think either you can go next. I don't think I have any experience in this field, to be honest.
I think there's like 3 parts. It's right off the top of my head. The first is intention that we talked about already. Like, as long as your intentions are good, like you'll see success, and if they're bad, you won't see success. Like, you won't even get far enough to make the decision of like ethical or non-ethical decision if your intentions are bad. The second part, I think, is that if you just have like this trust in Allah, it's like everything will work out, like no matter what. So, every time I think I said this multiple times in different like podcasts and stuff, but it's like it takes more effort to sin. Like that's the reality. It's like if you wanted to steal or if you wanted to like do something or scam someone, it takes more effort to do that than just do the right thing. Because inherently we have the right thing built into us. And so that's the second part. And the third part, I think, is just like when you really want something, like this goes back more into want than like trying to like decide if you should do the right thing or not. But if you really want something and it's good, like you can wake up for tahajjud every night for it. So unless you like, if you don't truly want something, you won't be able to wake up. But if you really want something, you'll wake up every single night for tahajjud for it. And why would you kind of like dirty that goal, or like whatever your really want is, by doing something like that's unethical in a sense? Like you're talking to God about it in like the best time of like, any point in prayer, and then you're still going to choose something to like do something bad, right? Or like underhanded or like backstabbing type of thing. So I don't know. I think it's not worth it. If you can have a conversation with God and still do something bad, it's just probably not something you should be doing in the first place. So those are my 3 points.
That was really, really good. I think you made a good point there again, and it kind of brings back that kind of guilt that you have to live with yourself, because it's like you said, you're talking to God about this. You're in conversation every night, trying to make this happen, and then you're gonna do something that you doesn't align with your morals or values, and then you're the one that has to live with it. So, yeah, I think that's a great answer that you gave there, because all 3 of your points mentioned faith. So, would you say that kind of your faith has not just kept you aligned with your morals and so on, but also has it been a big driving factor in your businesses, and now with the Boycat app, would you say that it has been?
Yeah, I mean it's the foundation and pillar, right, of everything that we do. And for me, I mean, like literally, it could have been any one of the 2 billion Muslims in the world that built this app. It could have been a non-Muslim too. Like it could have been anyone, but I was chosen because whatever reasons I needed to, and there's certain skills and tools and resources I have that would make it work. And alhamdulillah, like I'm able to acknowledge that, and because of that, it's like I'm only able to acknowledge that because of like how Islam is in my life right now. And like, if you gave me this app like 5 years ago, it probably wouldn't be the same. So alhamdulillah, I mean, like it's all a journey. And I think Islam is like a pillar. And if you do things the most Islamic, the most pure way, it's like you'll see a lot of success in that way.
Yeah, I think based off your thought of the week as well, God gave you the opportunity. The fact is, how are you going to use that opportunity, take it to your advantage to do something that God has showed you basically how to do it.
Yeah. Great points, guys. Thank you for that. And I think it was a really nice thing that you just said, that if you try and when you enact anything, whatever it is, a project or something at home with your family, if you do it the most Islamic way, you're going to get the most success, and you're probably going to get the most happiness as well, and the most rewards, be it Islamically or just a rewarding feeling as well. But yeah, thank you for that. Farin,
Yes.
would you like to ask Adil a little bit more? I feel like we've been very interview kind of thing. That's because we have so many questions. Our whole team, have been looking into this Boycat app, and that's why we're so excited as well. So we haven't really been just asking you some general personal questions. Is there anything that comes to mind, Fareen?
Anything that comes to mind now? Let's see. So what are you doing now? Like, what's the base of what you're doing now?
It's less development work and it's more managing work. And it involves a lot of traveling, because I just have to meet a lot of people, meet the right people, build relationships, and then inshallah, like, expand this app and into something that becomes like the new Gen Z consumer product, basically. That's my goal in the long run, where we can support as many causes as possible, change different economies around the world, and like really influence how people spend money. So inshallah, we can do it in the right way as long as our intentions are good.
Yeah, and let sisters speak now, because we're always happy, across the pond to support you and you to support us as well. Sorry, where are you based, by the way? I heard you say Bay Area earlier on. So is that like California?
Yeah. So I live in Los Angeles area, but I also go up to the Bay Area near San Francisco like every week. So I fly back and forth.
Nice, nice. We live in the UK.
Yeah, what part of the UK? Like the
We
fun
live
part?
in Luton.
I'll send you my documentary. I made a documentary about Luton, so
Yes, she
that'd be
did. It's
good
actually
too.
really, really good. You'll see an insight into where we live.
Well, very, very close, small community of
Yeah.
Luton. But Farin is actually from Spain.
Yeah,
Really?
I was born in Spain. I grew up in Spain. I moved to the UK about 5 years ago. So
Oh, that's so
it's been
cool.
a journey.
Why'd you leave?
Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to give you some lightheartedness because I feel like we've had a very, interview-esque kind of show today. But we wanted to, because we wanted to know so much about you, Adil. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. I think before we end, it'd be nice if we can get like a personal story that highlights the impact of your app and the whole ethical consumption, because it is such an amazing app. We will, put it in the details of the show as well, the Boycat app. But if you would love to tell us a personal story about either how you led to that or the process of you doing it right now, would be great.
I don't know if I have anything like life changing, but there are some very touching moments that kind of make all like the struggles, all the hate, all like the sleepless nights kind of worth it. Just because every so often you get a DM message from someone from Palestine, and they're the ones going through like whatever the current situation is, and they kind of just tell you thank you and like that, and like they're making dua for you, and like that kind of makes everything worth it. Because I think all it takes is like you only need one dua in the world that is accepted, that is like make this person go to Jannah. Like that's like that's like the dream goal of a lot of people trying to like build anything. It's like you have an impact, so that way someone can make dua for you. And I think seeing that kind of happen, I obviously like I know their duas are accepted, so I think inshallah I'll be in a good place in the future. But just having some of those DMs and messages from people that I'm actively impacting, I think that helps me like be motivated, and it kind of like is that life-changing moment where it's like I know I chose the right decisions in whatever I did.
Yeah, that is amazing. I think that would make anybody's day. Do you know what I mean? But for you, even like you said, their duas, inshallah, will be accepted. And if they're making dua for you, like what more can you ask for, right? What more can you ask for? That's a lovely personal story, and I think that's a lovely way to end our show today. So yeah, thank you so much, Adil, for being on the show. It was so lovely to talk to you. I think we could have another show because there's so many things that we'd love to know, especially on the business side, right? I think me and
Yes,
Fareen,
we need some advice from you. We need to
yeah,
start up a business now.
we do. We need to make $100,000
Yes, we do.
and say that it's casual. Yeah. And there's the timer for our show. So that's it. Thank you all for listening. And Adam, would you like to say bye to our listeners and viewers
Thank
today?
you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. Hopefully it wasn't too boring. But
No,
don't
definitely
worry.
not. Thank you. And we'll hopefully see you again soon. Assalamu alaikum to all the Sister Speak listeners.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. We stream our daily broadcast on inspirefm.org. You'll find all our daily updates on our social media at Inspire FM Luton.